Welcome everyone to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today I'm joined with Bria. So, Bria, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
For those who know, I am a dark romance author. Specifically, I write fairy tale retelling. So if any of that interests you, then you're going to want to listen to this episode.
Okay, now I don't understand what that genre exactly is, so if you can just
Oh.
tell me more about it.
Sure. So dark romance is, romance stories, but with a darker twist. So I feel personally, dark romance to me is giving characters trauma, giving them real life issues, giving them things that not everyone has gone through, but a lot of people have gone through, from, uh, personal experiences. A lot of people have been like cheated on, or they don't feel good enough, or they have gone through loss in their life, or, they were abandoned. There's so many real life problems that people go through. And
Yeah.
I give them to my characters. And of course, with the darker romances, there is romance in it. So the darker just means more often than not the morally gray character. So the
Uh-huh.
one that's not the hero, but also not he could be, or he or she could be the villain,
Hmm.
but they're not the villain to their person. They'll
Yeah.
fight and protect for the people that matter in their lives. So that's kind of what dark romance is. It's definitely, for the most part, definitely 18 plus, but I do have some younger readership. But hey, uh, I just write the books. I put it out there.
So, how's this journey been? Where did it start from? Did you start writing early, young, or was it just something that came along?
I was in high school and, I started with an ex-friend of mine, and it just, she didn't really want to do anything more with it. And I had the time. So I decided that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do something with it. But I kind of set it off to the side to write this other book, the one that I currently have published. I actually have it right here. So this is called Her Dark Promise by Bria Rose. So I wrote this, and it's like took me about 2 years to write, and now it's published, and now so many opportunities are just kind of opening up. Uh I know we're going to talk a little bit about social media, so I'm excited to talk about that aspect and how I'm using, that to leverage like my book sales and things like that. But just with the writing itself, it did start in high school. I kind of put it down for 10 years. It was a really long time. And I
Uh-huh.
picked it up probably 4 years ago at this point. And it just, I always tell people, I'm like, I got bit by the writing bug. I don't know how else to say it. I just feel like if I don't write, I'm gonna get real itchy. I'm allergic to knots.
All right. So, okay, the first thing that comes to my mind is Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why it just keeps cropping up when you
Yeah.
try talking about dark romance. Is there any specific reference?
Did I tell you
Just
it was Beauty and the Beast? Did I say that yet?
no, you're not. It was just that the first thing that
Ah,
comes to my mind when I hear dark romance is probably the story of Beauty and the Beast because the Beast was just gray somewhere and not just a prince from the beginning itself. But yeah, what's your perspective on that?
so that's so funny because my book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling.
Okay.
Uh, so that's why I'm like, how did he know? I mean, you could look me up prior, but yeah, no. So, but mine is with the twist. Mine
Uh-huh.
is where Belle is the Beast. Beast and Gaston
Okay.
are brothers who get trapped in her castle, and a lot of chaos and sexiness ensues.
All right. So let's get to it. How are you promoting this book? What's helping you get this done? Is this just the publisher or what are you doing from your side as well?
So I am a self-published author. I
Okay.
decided to kind of take that route because my editor was like, "Hey, we could go the traditional publishing route, but just so you know, you got to get a an agent, and
Uh-huh.
who knows how long that'll take. That could take a month to a year. It may
Hmm.
be shorter, maybe longer, who knows. Then you got to go through them to find an editor and a publish, now you got to make all the pitches to all these places.
Yeah.
And I just and then she was like, and if you do, it could take you 10 years. Some of these authors are sitting here just pitching their book out and nobody's eating it up. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, of course, some people get really lucky. Who knows if that would be me or not?
Yeah.
If I wouldn't know unless I tried.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't because she then said, by the way, when all that does happen, it might take anywhere between 2 to 5 years until you see your book actually on shelves. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, nope. So we're gonna do this all publishing route, which means it's gonna be all on me. This is
Yeah.
fun. I love this for me. So I did very little social media in the beginning because I
Hmm.
was learning and I didn't know what to post. And
Hmm.
I actually have a social media account for my traveling. And
Okay.
that just seems to be easier for me because I have a
Hmm.
certain way that I post videos and people seem to be really responsive to those.
Okay.
But I hadn't really found my groove in the book world, you know?
Hmm.
And then, of course, when you get like 100 views, 200 views, it can be a little disheartening, especially when you're first starting
Yeah.
out, um, not having the right gear or, just, eh. So, I did publish this almost about 11 months now, almost a year
Yeah.
ago. Kind of crazy. Um, and it hasn't been until the last like uh, few months that I've really been trying to like be more consistent. Social media is literally all about consistency. Those platforms really want to see you on the platform every single day, showing up for it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. Socials. I am just kind of posting and seeing where things land, what hits, what doesn't, making sure I don't,
Yeah.
uh, go against their policies, so I don't get kind of shadow banned or just not
Yeah.
pushed out. But then of course I'm going on podcasts, trying to leverage those, trying to get more
Mhm.
visibility that way. Um, for especially for this book, I got really lucky. Like I said, there's been some really amazing opportunities coming my way. So
Yeah.
a month after the book got published, I I've contacted like 60 probably different subscription boxes for my book. Um, it was a lot, and I only needed one yes, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That's
You
right.
could have I'll pitch to 100 people, but I only need one of them to say
Yeah.
yes. So I did. I got to be part of a team called Probably Smut, and
Mhm.
they created
Right.
a special. Yeah, they're
Uh-huh.
great. They created a special edition copy for my book.
All right.
So that was amazing. So that was earlier this year. And then I actually signed with a publishing company, but
Mm-hmm.
that not like traditional. They're like
Mm-hmm.
in this like middleman of like online publishing, but they're connected to HarperCollins. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, part of HarperCollins, but they're called One More Chapter.
Right.
So, there's a lot of really big opportunities. I actually was just on the news
Mhm.
last Thursday.
Uh-huh.
So on my local news. So I'm using social media and online presence,
Mhm.
to really try to garner a bigger audience. People don't
Mhm.
know who I am. They say, oh, Stephen King. I'm like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Mhm.
But no one knows Bria Rose yet. So I'm doing everything I can to get visibility.
Mhm. Now, the first thing that crops up in my mind is since you're on social media talking about dark romance and everything in between, right? That stuff in between actually is the part that you are talking about getting you shadow banned or probably not being as per the policy, right? So, how are you tackling that? Because nowadays I see a lot of niche content creators dwelling into that domain and then they're just like, okay, trying to bleep out some words or just star a certain word on their transcript that's coming up on their video itself. But is it just all that is there, or there are things that you have to take care of otherwise?
I want to caution more. I
Mhm.
just want to be more mindful of what I post.
Yeah.
And if there are, words, then I need to make sure that they're bleeped. And then for text, if there is any words that might flag,
Mm-hmm.
the social media platforms, then there's ways you could still have the word,
Mm-hmm.
but, you can do different things with it. So like, let's just use the word yes.
Mm-hmm.
You could do Y, and then you could actually do the three as an E, and
Mm-hmm.
then do $2 signs. And now
Right.
we still can see the word yes,
Right.
but the algorithm hopefully won't isn't going to catch on to it because I'm like, oh, that's not the word.
Mm-hmm. So that's one way. Now you talked about consistency, right? Being there on the platform all day. I mean, every day, at least once a day, not all day, because that's not what we're here to do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, how's that journey been? Because it's true, right? As you mentioned, seeing 100, 200 views on your videos is not something that you're encouraged with during the start of the journey. How are you keeping up your motivation?
I just need to be patient and, something eventually is going to hit and it's not going to hit unless I show up,
Right.
So like the platform will, give you not praise you, that's not the word I want to use, but it will help you out the more that, the more consistent you are and the higher quality of things you do, and it's also on me to, you know, mess around with hooks and the visual aids that I'm using or the backgrounds I'm using or you know, the the audios I'm using, so really if something is not working consistently, change it up, see what's gonna work. Maybe a different caption's gonna, work out more. I
Yeah.
need to start doing more lives.
Hmm.
So, it's just all just using the platform in its
Hmm.
many different ways.
Now, you talked about lives, right? So, what's the story about lives? I don't know how many followers you exactly have, but do people turn up on lives? How do they engage? Because this is a niche, right, that you're in.
We just talk books.
Hmm.
A lot of the lives consist of
Hmm.
people are reading, so it's like, oh, read with me, do a
Ah, okay.
writing sprint with me.
Hmm.
Hey, let's get to know the author, ask me questions.
Okay.
So just because I'm a dark romance author doesn't mean everything has to be spicy.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
there's a lot of, questions like, oh my God, who's your favorite character? Oh my God, you love this character? Oh my God, or what's your writing process? Tell me how you
Right.
write.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for
Hmm.
aspiring writers? There's so many in between.
Hmm. Now, that's what I was about to get to because, as you mentioned, right, motivation to go on the platform, but there's also motivation that needs to be there for writing the next word in your book itself, right? Uh, as we were talking about earlier. So, how is that coming along? I mean, you obviously have that publisher, that contract on your head right now to write the next word. But then again, where did you get that early on?
Like where, so
The
like
Yeah,
my writing tips, and
yeah.
then how did I get the contract?
No, not the contract, the idea to write or just the motivation to write,
Oh,
just the motivation to write
got
because
it.
yeah, the writer's block is there. So how do you overcome? If I had to ask that question, probably that would be the
Yeah.
next one.
Yeah. Writing block is crazy. I mean, I will sometimes go months without writing anything. So I'm just like, I don't know. But then I need to remind myself, like, just write one page. And I actually just gave this advice to somebody
Mhm.
the other day. Like, I mean, if I don't write for an entire month, that's, 30 pages, especially if I go with the whole rule of I could sit down and write one page. Because I kind of get into my head, right? I think a lot of writers get into their head about this is this is crap. This is awful. What? I'm not a good writer.
Uh-huh.
No, no, no. I actually just heard recently, like the finished product that you see, especially if it's a well-written book, because of course there's a lot of books that should have been put through the editing round like one or two more times. No hate on them. It is money. It is consuming, So if you think your book's good, but errors, but for a near perfect book with great writing, a great story, 5 out of 10, 10 out of 5, like a stellar book, that is a clearly polished product.
Hmm.
That is something that has gone through processing so many times to be as vibrant. There's
Hmm.
so many coats of paint to be as beautiful and vibrant as it is. It
Yeah.
wasn't just, oh, this is my rough draft. Oh, it got edited one time. Now we're done. No, that
Mhm.
probably got put through so many rounds of editing and refiguring. And even when you were almost done, like, oh God, I just thought of a better idea. So I mean, it took me 2 years to write my book because my editor and I kept coming up with different ideas, like better ideas.
Mhm.
And it would mess up the entire story. We had to go back and fix.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like little tiny fixes, little scenes, or, I had one character say this towards the end, but it contradicted what he said in the beginning. So I'm like, oh no. And then you have to go through it all because you can't miss anything because what if? So it is a process, but in general, kind of going back to what I was originally saying, um, writer's block is crazy. Like I was telling you earlier, I sat the last 3 days, like my butt is so numb sitting in this chair. Uh, because I wrote about 10,000 words, which is more than I've written consecutively in a long time.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because I am, under contract and I just need to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm giving them the quality that I want to, show up for them. So,
Mhm.
that's just all projects. It's you just everyone like when you exercise. Like
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, okay, tell me how long more of a set I have for this. How do I got 10 seconds? Because I can do it for 10 seconds. But if you don't tell me, I
Yeah.
can't.
Mhm.
There's a mind block there.
Mhm.
So you can write one page.
Mhm.
You can write 500 words, so how whatever helps you, if it's say one chapter, I can do one chapter a day. That's, roughly 7 pages,
Uh-huh.
and if especially if I put like a end mark, like, okay, don't go any more than 7 pages, make that all work. So
Yeah.
whatever works for you,
Mhm.
however, whatever gets you writing, I have so many tips. I mean, I write as a puzzle.
Uh-huh.
So I write the scenes that excite me the most
Okay.
before I do the filler dash boring scenes. So the way I look at it is I have a really fun scene where something crazy happens.
Uh-huh.
And then I have another really fun scene where some more crazy happens. But how do we get from
Connect
this scene to
them.
this scene?
Yeah.
This is a boring filling scene. But then I think once I have those, I'm like, oh, I have a way to get them there. Let's make it
Yeah.
more fun because every scene needs to be interesting,
Interesting. Yeah.
right? So yeah, so that's kind of those are just a couple of my, a little bit pieces of advice or writing tips.
Mhm. Now, there's a little digression I want to take because in between, I was also talking to another content writer a couple of episodes ago. Now, we had this conversation there as well. She used to write specifically for blogs, articles, social media for B2B clients, but you're writing a book. Now, I asked her about using AI, right, in her profession. Now, I want to ask you about using AI while writing books or proofreading or something of that sort. Uh, how have you experimented or are you experimenting with it?
So I am not experimenting it with like on a professional level. Like
Mhm.
it's not being used for
Yeah.
proofreading, it's not being used for editing, it's not being used for graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I've had in my early days before I realized, because mind you, AI had like just
Yeah.
started, not just started, it's always kind of been around, but it's been more prevalent, like Chat GPT got, is being pushed out and,
We had Grammarly earlier,
something
right?
open AI. Yeah, I use Grammarly, especially for college like
Mm-hmm.
classes or school assignments or any things like that, So I don't use it for there's art a couple things that had like graphic wise that has been AI use.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't commercially sell those now that I know the implications. Those are more like gifts or, like visuals just for my social media, but I don't use them. I don't continue to create them, now that I know. But I purchased it. So I want to use, what I did purchase before I knew.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I do use AI is different.
Mm-hmm.
So like Chat GPT in not the writing sense, it really is an incredible tool. So
Mm-hmm.
you could use it as something to help you.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I Googled, hey, mythical creatures in uh China, give me the China, region or these
Yeah.
different like Asian countries like that. Or really anywhere, Mexico, like United States, just there's for geographical areas. Um,
Yeah.
and Google will only give me so much because Google is based off of what people have written, right? So Google is like giving me all that stuff. But ChatGPT, I'm just like, oh, I have all of this list of really cool stuff, or it helps with captions for social media, or helps with prompt ideas. Like, hey, I'm stuck at this part. What's the cool way? Like, I don't know. I think there's just more strategic ways it can be used that's not
Mhm.
going to steal somebody else's idea, because
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about why AI isn't okay in like any sense that would be used to steal. So of course, like writing an entire book, writing a song, writing a poem, because work that people have already done, it's being used,
Hmm.
graphics, things like that. Um, but again, if you ask questions like, not how does this sound of like writing, but like caption, hey, or emails, so things like that, I think it can really aid in an author's journey to make it easier
Yeah.
uh, for us.
Right. Now, what's this next book are you that you're writing about? Are you allowed to talk about it?
I cannot talk about the one for the company.
Uh-huh.
Can't talk about that just yet, but I will say that everybody knows this fairy tale. It's actually kind of a spoof, I want to
Okay.
say, on the fairy tale genre. And
Hmm.
so when it comes out, like what it is, I'm like, people are gonna be like, "Whoa," because I have kind of shared it with like a few like of my close friends, and they're
Hmm.
like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "They're like, how did you come up with the idea?" I'm like, it was very different, it definitely was the collaborative effort between me and the company. But
Hmm.
I can share the other project that I am currently working on just by myself.
Okay.
So my next story under my name,
Mhm.
specifically like my publishing company, because I created an LLC for me. Um, it is called Made for Us. It is a spicy Pinocchio retelling.
Okay. All right. Now, what's this?
It's a little different.
Yeah. What's this charm you have for fairy tales in specific? I don't know. I mean, because I read somewhere that the fairy tales that as we know them, the Disney versions or the retold versions that as we know them but they were actually gruesome stories of folklore, right? And which have been toned down for retelling to children. So, did you ever get to read those original versions, or did you ever get that chance?
I actually think I have the Grimm. I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was around here.
The
Doesn't
Grimm
matter.
Brothers
But I
version.
do, yeah, I do have them. I know, like Cinderella, you cut off the toes to make the shoe fit or the glass slipper fit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there are a few that, yes, I am. Oh, I think Little Mermaid was pretty bad. I don't even think she gets the prince. Um, but I really should bring some of the Grimm fairy tale like parts into the fairy tale retellings. Actually, that'd be very interesting. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm kind of going based off of, I guess, Disney's kind of
Mm-hmm.
stories at this moment, at least with Beauty and the Beast, I did.
Yeah.
Um, Pinocchio as well, but I don't have my next fairy tale retelling Disney specific in mind. Um, but yeah, no, I want to make sure my story is very different
Yeah.
than Disney's version. I don't use any names. I wrote like Pinocchio is a book that is set in Italy where
Uh-huh.
a boy named Luca is created by a man named Giuseppe. So and his nose doesn't grow, which actually is really funny. A lot of people are like, is his nose gonna grow? I'm like, no, he's not wooden. He's actually so it's a whole thing. So it kind of plays more into also the implications of like kind of like going like to AI like robots.
Mm-hmm.
He's not technically a robot, he has feelings and things, but you kind of also strain into that realm of,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh God, when do we do? I mean, robots right now being created, can they be used for certain, it's a whole thing. But yeah, I just got to be careful about,
Yeah.
how I say it. But again, it's not the same. He's not on strings. He's not a puppet. It's just more of like he is a, it's a whole thing. But I agree. I'm all got to be a little careful.
Yeah. All right. So all the best to you for that. I don't know how I can wish you best of luck or
Thank you.
something. But yeah, is there anything else? You talked about your traveling videos. How is it flipping the profile from travel to books? Yeah, that should have been asked earlier, but yeah, it just struck my mind.
No, it's okay. It's very different. With traveling, I'm not trying to sell a product, and with the books that I am. So I don't want to come off as too salesy.
Hmm.
I want to come off as someone who knows what she's talking about and she's a leader in her specific genre. So of course, I am just starting on my journey and, my audience, my fans, because I do have some, uh, it is on the smaller realm right now. Some people do recognize me like, oh, you're that person. Oh my God, I want your autograph, but
Yeah.
it's not globally yet. And I am planning on it being globally. So I'm putting the work in there, putting myself out there, of course, kind of going on these podcasts. Whereas the traveling one, I would like to use that to like get free stays, kind of more of a UGC track. So
Mhm.
I I need more of the I am a leader in that specific genre. But again, as of this moment, I'm not selling a specific product. I'm just,
Mhm.
hey, here's some advice. It's more advicey.
Yeah. So I guess that's where people relate, right? If you're not selling and you're giving them genuine knowledge or advice or insights, people actually get attracted to that rather than if you just start selling off the bat. Has is that something that you've observed? And
Well, the book people are just, they're a different breed of people.
Mhm.
Like they love recommendations. They love,
Yeah.
literally, it's not even consuming books, but consuming books. I mean, I know
Mhm.
people who go through 10 to 30 books a month.
Okay.
That's kind of like their day, that's like their full-time job.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's just more connecting with them. Like, do they feel connected to me? So it is, I'm trying not to be salesy. I'm trying
Mhm.
to be relatable and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a book. So there's different ways I can do that, and hopefully, it doesn't come off too salesy or whatever, but I need to these next few weeks I'm going to uh tell myself like, hey, try posting multiple times a day. Don't just do the one.
Right.
Get in front of people's face, be
Mhm.
annoying. It's okay to be annoying, especially when you're first starting out.
Right. Thank you so much, Bria. Thank you for this. It was great having this dual conversation going from uh, dark romance to books to social media and back and forth. Just
Yeah.
amazing. So, thank you so much. Before I close, where can people get in touch with you and where can they know more about you?
So the main thing that I want to send people to right now is my website, authorbriarose.com. That is author AUTHOR, Bria, BRIAROSE. And that actually I really have branded myself because that is also my TikTok and my Instagram, my email, that's everything. So that's where you can find me at author Bria Rose.
All right. Thank you so much, Bria. Thank you for joining in. To the audience who's been watching and listening intently, if you liked what we talked about, do leave a like. The comment section is always open for perspectives, suggestions, and questions. And don't forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks so much, Bria.
Thank, thank you. Thank you.